In this video, I want to show you a clear path out of the matrix. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interuniversal, interdimensional, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. Well, here we have another week and another rendition of war and violence on planet Earth. Now, I'm pretty sure that the majority of people on this planet do not want to be in this situation. But I want to talk today about the topic of the matrix and how to leave it. And it may not be exactly what you thought. Now, this is very interesting because a lot of people assume that the matrix is all the stuff going on out here in the external world, all the weirdness, all the bad stuff, all the insanity, and all the chaos. So people look at the matrix as, well, it's out here, right? And we have to escape it. We have to get out of it somehow. But here's what I want to let you know. The matrix, the actual real matrix, exists as a paradigm in our minds. And from that paradigm, we behave accordingly. Because what is the paradigm? It's a paradigm of conditioned, manufactured reality. So we have in our minds a structure, a matrix of what we have been told all our lives is our reality. And because we have that structure in our minds, we act out of that structure in the outer world. So there are levels and layers of the matrix because it exists differently depending on which, I'll use the word strata, you are existing in. So the basic matrix exists as a foundational belief that we are all indoctrinated into from the day we're born here on planet Earth. It's a belief called, this is reality on Earth. It's literally a belief. And we think it's real only because so many who have come before us, along with those who are around us, continue to build and act out this reality. And then we see that reality reflected back at us through our 5 physical senses, and we say to ourselves, oh, it actually is real. Look, here it is. And then we believe it even more. And this is how it becomes more and more entrenched. So the problem, if you think the matrix is out here, is you can't get away from it, right? Because you're still carrying it in your own head. So wherever you go on planet Earth, the matrix is going to follow you. So we need to understand how to leave the matrix from within ourselves, in which case we will begin to manifest very, very differently on this planet. Now, it's very difficult to get perspective, to get a workable perspective on the matrix when you're in it, when your entire body, mind, and emotions have bought into it for an entire lifetime. It's very difficult to understand how do we get away from it? It's like I have to get away from myself. Well, here's the first step. I want to talk to you all as the infinite beings that you are. See, normally when a conversation happens or when someone speaks to you, they are speaking to you as the identity that you have formed here on Earth since the day you were born. They're speaking to you as though you are your physical body. They're speaking to you as though you are the history, your personal history, and everything that comes out of that in terms of your day-to-day experience in the time of now. And as long as we stay oriented there, it's going to be extremely difficult to leave the matrix and to evolve beyond it. so that we are no longer a vibrational match for this kind of nonsense. If you've been following me for a while, you've probably heard me say many times that we need to have what I call an extraterrestrial perspective. And I define that not as beings from outer space and UFOs and all of that stuff. I define an extraterrestrial perspective as a perspective that is way beyond just planet Earth, a perspective that is bigger than what is happening on planet Earth. That's what extraterrestrial really means. But here's where I think people run into trouble with that. What makes it difficult is when you try to hold that perspective from the identity that you have built in your physical body, mind, and emotions from the day you were born. You know, the name you're given, your Earth history here in this lifetime. When you try to have a cosmic perspective or an extraterrestrial perspective from that place, it's very difficult because your body only knows the experience it has here on planet Earth. So it becomes sort of an incongruency. It becomes more of like, well, that's a good idea, Saratoga, but I don't live from that place. I don't know how to live from that place. So this is why I want to speak to you as the infinite being that you are. I do not mean this in some abstract way. I do not mean this in some kind of philosophical way, you know, like, well, we're all infinite beings and we all know that. That's our new age type of philosophy or our spiritual philosophy or whatever. No, I want to speak to you as the fact that you are an infinite being, that you are not limited to this planet. Now, if you want to get a sense of yourself in that way, pay attention to the fact that you are looking out of your own eyes. You are experiencing life through your physical body. You are experiencing life through your 5 physical senses. You are the person having the experience of thinking. You are the person having the experience of emotions in your physical body, because emotions are a physical phenomenon. So I want you to take a moment here to just consider, or perhaps a better word is restore, wake up to the truth that you are the entity looking out of your own eyes. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror, who's doing the looking, right? It's you. It's not your face. It's not your body. It's not your hair. It's not any of those things. The who, the you, that is looking at your reflection in the mirror can't actually be seen with your physical eyes. That's so ironic, isn't it? Because you think you're looking at you and you're looking at a portion of yourself, a portion only, which is your physical self. But your physical eyes cannot see in a physical mirror a reflection of the actuality of you. So if you just play around with this a little bit, you might start to shift your consciousness back into the truth of who you are. And I want you to just contemplate the power of that for a moment. How incredibly powerful that is. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's terrible when you come to Earth because you forget who you are. You know, I don't know if I would use the word forget. I think it's more a matter of orientation, experiential orientation. See, when we're born, what happens is the outer world right away labels us as the physical body who's a little tiny baby who doesn't have a life at that point, right? We have so much of that projected on us. Every person that interacts with us as that tiny baby is interacting with us as though that's all we are, is that physical little tiny baby that's going to acquire a whole bunch of experiences. So that's what we take in experientially. Literally, no one acknowledges the actual person, the actual human that we are, that is looking out of the eyes of that child, and later on looking out of the eyes of that adult. So we relate to each other as 100% finite beings who are definitely going to die and it's all going to be over. Or, unless you have a philosophy about life after death, or you have a belief or an experience or whatever. But fundamentally, on planet Earth, we relate to each other as completely finite beings that have no experience outside of the conditioned reality, the matrix, that has been imposed upon us in our minds. So when that's all that's going on, it's really difficult to say, how do I live from a cosmic place? How do I live from my truest of true selves? So I would suggest that you get really real with yourself. And I mean real in a visceral way. I don't mean real in the sense of how you think about yourself. I mean real at such a fundamental level that you pay attention to what I've shared with you so far about who is this being looking out of your eyes. And there's yet another miracle that occurs every single second that you are walking around. And I want to recommend that you start to pay attention to this, because all of these things are going to lead you to a much more powerful perspective about your life in general. I want you to pay attention to something very, very simple about you in your physical body. And you can look, sometimes you can actually, if this is hard to do for yourself, you can actually just observe other people and see the same in them. So just speaking in a general way, look at the physical body. If you just stand up, you can do it right now if you're in a place where you can do it while you're watching. But if you just stand up and notice how amazing it is that you don't fall over, or let's say you're sitting up, you lift your arm. How amazing it is that you don't topple over because you didn't get your balance right. What is it? What is that essence, that life, that true consciousness that is you, that is moving throughout your physical experience? And I know we tend to think of ourselves as like these solid things, we're solid, we're like finite solid things. That's what we are. But I want you to think about something else. Recognize the fact that your physical body can be reduced and understood at the level of your cells, your molecules that comprise those cells, the atoms that comprise those molecules, the subatomic particles, all the way down to energy. So actually, in your physical body, you are mostly space. You are more space than you are matter. And every single aspect of you, all of those atoms, are in a constant state of movement and flow. And then you have this beautiful miracle of your consciousness, your real self, completely imbuing this assortment of atoms and molecules that comprises you on a physical level. And when you understand this more and more, and you learn to stop identifying yourself as this solid clump of whatever, you start to recognize there's a miracle happening right here where I stand. The miracle is me, right? And think about the magnitude, the grace, and the presence of your consciousness moving and flowing through all of those atoms and molecules that comprise what looks like a solid body, but actually is not. When you just experiment with this, explore this, because see, it's not enough for me to say to you guys, oh, you're an infinite being. And you go, yes, I know, I am an infinite being. I mean, that's all conceptual, right? I'm trying to show you that you can make this real for yourself, because it is real. It's real this very moment. And the more that you do this, the more that you explore this, it's going to change your entire outlook on planet Earth. So let's talk about that aspect of things. Here you are, an infinite consciousness that is existing inside of your body, which is a literal universe of energy. Literally. All those atoms and molecules that are in constant motion is like an entire universe unto itself. And then you start to realize, wait a second, what is that structure in my head telling me about this so-called reality? And you're going to start to see a real contrast. What you're going to realize is that, wait a minute, I have power. I don't have power in the matrix that was put in my brain, in my head, in my belief system, because in that fake reality that was put there by someone else, some outer force, in that reality, I have no power because the structure's locked me down. The structure has me locked in place. The structure tells me who I am, what the world is, and what my role is in that world, in that phony world. So it's not that the outer world is the matrix. It's that the outer world is a total reflection and manifestation of this shared collective matrix that we are all being imprisoned by. And I also want to show you how we actually create our own prisons in life. If you understand what I was just saying about you as a cosmic consciousness, as an infinite being, whatever beliefs and energies you hold on to can actually create your own personal matrix of restriction that becomes like a prison or a jail that says, I can't do that, and I can't do that either, and I never did that before, and I guess I better not try that, and I'm really scared because I feel so limited, and I don't know how to cope with what's going on the planet right now. See what I mean? But the funny thing is, when you look at it from the perspective that I'm sharing with you, there are no bars on that prison. There are no bars around you. You are free to do whatever the heck you want. And it's only this internal matrix of thought that is stopping you. Now, I want to speak to you also from the perspective of having come here to this planet in service as perhaps a light worker, a starseed, or however you might see yourself. You know at some deep level that you came here for a reason. But yet you look around at this utter insanity. I mean, we are talking maximum levels of craziness, right? And you got to ask yourself, what the heck am I doing here? What was this like? Did I take a wrong turn somewhere? Did I get a bad set of directions? I mean, what am I doing here, right? And you know in your heart of hearts that this is not a match to who you are. That what is going on planet Earth is no match to the truth of you. So then things can get pretty confusing, right? They can get really confusing because you can just get in a state of despair, a state of depression, a state of what did I do to deserve this miserable experience? And maybe I'm not who I thought I was, and all kinds of stuff, right? All that means is that your perspective is out of alignment with the truth about you. So if you're looking around at the comings and goings of the craziness on Earth, the wars, the violence, the utter insanity, right? If you're looking around at all of that and you just don't know how to cope, come back to what I'm sharing with you now. And you will start to see things very differently. Now, I want to bring up something else that I think is really, really important, because I've heard some things that people are saying, really good, well-meaning spiritual people who are trying to make some sense of all of this. and specifically about the grandiose war in the Middle East, which is completely, I say grandiose because, man, are they bringing in the weapons and all the war stuff. The whole war machine is collecting around the Middle East right now. So they got some pretty bad plans in mind. I think that's kind of obvious. But as we see that beginning to manifest, and what just happened a couple of weeks ago, people are rightly feeling a state of despair, a state of depression, sadness, confusion, just down, right? So I've heard some people saying something that I want to challenge. And what I've heard people say, I've heard a number of people saying this. Well, how do you explain the horrific nature of what took place in Israel and in Palestine? Because it's all bad now. The whole thing is bad, right? All of it is, it's indescribably insane. So people don't know how to make sense of that, especially people who feel that they came here to serve in some capacity. People who feel that they came here for a higher purpose than seeing that, right? Or being a part of it, or witnessing, or whatever. So here's the explanation, one of the explanations that I've heard, and I think this is actually wrong, and I think it's unfortunate because it's not helpful. The explanation I have heard from really loving, good, wonderful, amazing people is that, well, all that stuff's happening because of what's going on inside of us. And until we clear out all the war inside of ourselves and all the stuff inside of ourselves, this kind of thing's going to keep manifesting. Guys, what's going on in the Middle East isn't happening because of what's inside of you. It's happening because of what is inside of the people who are enacting it. That's why it's happening. It has nothing to do with your inner work. Because if you think that's what's going on, then your perspective's a little off, because it's kind of like, well, if this is all happening because of what's going on inside of very good people, then what about the people that are doing all the damage? What about them? You see what I mean? We are not responsible for the violence. The only people responsible for the violence are the people who are enacting it and the people who are deciding to make sure it is enacted, because they have control of the people who are doing all the bad stuff. Those are the people who are responsible for the violence. Good, nice people who are sincerely trying to evolve, do their inner work, are not responsible for the violence. That's crazy. And I think this idea comes from things that a lot of people were saying at the beginning of 2020, when the whole pandemic started and all the lockdowns and everything else. And a lot of people were saying, well, we all came here to shift the collective. We're here as light workers, as starseeds. We're here to shift the collective. And I remember when I heard that, I'm thinking, really? What about all the other people involved that actually are the collective? See, we're not here to shift the collective. We're here to have an influence. And speaking to you all again, as the infinite beings that you are not evolving only to have an influence on planet Earth as it stands right now. There's a massive universe right now that has a big problem with duality. The universe is in the process of evolving out of duality and back into a state of oneness, where everything is a manifestation of the love and light that created it. That is the larger process going on. So those beings, such as yourselves, I assume you are, you probably wouldn't be listening to me. But those beings who know they're here for a higher purpose, who know they're here for a positive reason, you're not evolving into an ability to have that influence just for planet Earth, my friends. You're evolving into a capacity for greater and greater influence over the evolution of maybe a lot of other places in this universe, not just Earth. That's what I refer to as a cosmic perspective. Your journey is not limited to planet Earth. You're not evolving just for planet Earth. This is a stage in your personal evolution. You are here, as you probably already know and have always known, certainly since you have experienced a spiritual awakening, that you are here to do something positive about the situation. But my friends, you're in the universe to have a positive influence on the larger evolution. You don't even know where you go from here. But I can assure you, you will not be going very far if you're not evolving here and now beyond a lot of these false beliefs that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you locked into a false identity, making it almost impossible for you to truly evolve. See, there are galaxies and star systems and planets and so much more, dimensions. There's so much that we are in the middle of all of those things right now. It's not like planet Earth is a little sideshow that you just left the universe to come to Earth. No, Earth is a part of the bigger picture. So you're standing here now. You're in your physical body now, which is an Earth body, rightly so, because we're on planet Earth, right? But your evolution is meant to be a universal evolution, not just a planetary evolution. So the first step is to leave this weird, bizarre matrix, to leave the structure, the paradigm in our heads that has been instilled there from birth. Now, how do you leave it? Because, you know, if it's in your head, you're going to walk away and it's going to go with you, right? You leave it by shifting your sense of self. When you shift your sense of self to a cosmic level in the way that I've been describing, your vibration changes. Your frequency of energy changes. You are no longer coherent with your false identity. You've shifted from a false identity to your true empowered self. And thus, the structural matrix that's been living in your head will naturally begin to fall away. It will naturally begin to disintegrate. Disintegrate. What does that mean? Disintegrate. See, until you really comprehend yourself at a cosmic level, that matrix and that false identity is integrated with your experience of self. When you shift to the true understanding of who you actually are, then that matrix begins to disintegrate, fall away. Now, we have living, concrete proof that we are not these false identities. You know what the proof is? You ever notice when somebody dies, what's the first thing that happens after the funeral? Get rid of the body. Dispose of the body. Now, why? Because this person, when they were alive, they were so important to themselves and so many other people, and they identified themselves as their body. Their friends and family in the world identified them as their body. You would think that body's like super important, right? You would never want to get rid of it. But what makes it go from super important and valuable to suddenly being something in need of disposal? Real simple. The being, the infinite being I was talking about, is no longer present in that body. So what makes your physical body valuable is you. It's you. It's not anything else. Because if you are not in your body, c'est la vie, right? It's gone. So I think sometimes a big mistake that we tend to make is to look at planet Earth as though it's our entire universe of experience. And it's not. And that's why I was saying before that the idea that these violent people in the Middle East, whoever they are, because there's a lot of them, right? That they are a manifestation of what's going on inside of us. No, they're not. They are a manifestation of duality in the universe. They're a manifestation of their own choices. They're not a manifestation of your choices. You see how simple that is? So because I've actually been really surprised at how many people, how many good, loving, spiritual people are feeling so heavy and depressed and discouraged and all of those, heavy negative emotions over what's going on with these wars. And I've been kind of surprised that people feel this way, because what I'm saying is not about empathy. It's not about love. It's not about that. It's about the fact that people are so surprised, so thrown off guard, so shocked. Says to me, you guys know where you are? Do you guys understand the nature of planet Earth? Because this is kind of what's been going on here for a very, very, very long time. And it's not just going on in the Middle East, it's going on all over the planet. So you want to think of your need to evolve in service as being in service to the universe, not just planet Earth, because if you think it's all just planet Earth, you're just going to get crushed. I mean, how can you not? If you think this is it, man, this is it. What's happening on this planet, this is it. And I better make good on my time here with this scene. I better be able to do something to fix it. Or we better be able to do something to fix it. Or our life here is a failure. Or something like that, right? Something along those lines. Now, sure, there are a lot of people that maybe are here to play an active role, a physically active role in doing whatever is possible to improve the situation, correct it, whatever, right? So I'm not negating that at all. What I'm talking about is more about mindset and how you view yourself and your purpose on this planet. Because part of your evolution is to be so stable in who you know yourself to be that it doesn't matter what kind of chaos happens here. You never, ever lose your way. In fact, ideally, no matter what these crazy controllers and all of their madness manifest on planet Earth, you never lose your way because you never lose yourself. You never lose your cosmic self that is eternal, that is infinite, that is so real, makes the physical world look dim by comparison. And let me just add a couple more things to consider before I complete this. For as long as I have been doing this work, which is a really long time, years and years, I have heard people say the following. I've heard people say, well, it's good to have darkness and light. It's good to have suffering and pain and misery because it gives us a contrast. It helps us to appreciate love more. It helps us to appreciate wonderfulness more and things along those lines. That's one thing. Another thing I've heard is, well, this is all happening because people wanted to have this experience. Now, seriously, do you really think people want to have this experience? Like anybody? I've even heard that the terrorists, the people that do the really, really bad stuff, they actually have to take drugs to be able to do that bad stuff. Because on their own, it's not real reliable that they're going to be able to stomach doing it. So there's a whole underground drug trade specifically designed to aid people in doing bad things that are so inhuman that on their own they probably wouldn't do it off or would not be reliable enough to pull it off. See? So that's a factor too. So for all of the loving, well-meaning people who've been saying, well, we're here because we wanted to have these experiences, or another one is God wanted to have these experiences. Well, that's a whole other one I would challenge, but I think I'll save that for a different video because then I'll get off on a whole different track. But let's just say people who say, well, you know, everybody just wanted to have these horrific experiences. That's why they incarnated here, because they wanted to see what it would be like. That belief puts a hole in your consciousness where your energy, your focus, and your power is going to leak out of that hole. It is. It's going to leak out because it's an excuse. It's a handy excuse to explain away all of this bad stuff. You know, a long time ago, I was invited to go to a meeting of near-death experiencers. They call themselves NDEers. And this is like an international group. Maybe you guys have heard of it. I don't remember what the group is called, but they have chapters in different parts of the world, different countries, different cities. And I was invited to go to one of their meetings. So I went, and there were people that had had near-death experiences and were talking about it. And it was all very wonderful. And there were two people who were leading it. There was like the main guy, and then there was some other guy with him. So afterwards, I didn't say anything. I was just kind of standing there listening, paying attention. And when it was over, people were standing around, and one of the second guy, not the main guy, but the second guy, there were like two speakers, I think, or two main speakers. So the second guy comes over to me and he goes, so what's your story? Like really weird, you know, what's your story? And I said, well, I'm just listening. And then I looked at him and I said something I should have never said. I said, well, you know, what did I say? It was so long ago, I don't remember, but it was something like, I don't know, maybe death shouldn't even exist. Well, this guy freaked out. He got so mad at me. He said, and I think I might have also said, and maybe pain and suffering shouldn't exist either. Yeah, I think I said that too. And he said, he got so mad. He said, who do you think you are, God? We need pain. We need suffering. We need death. Those things are important. And I looked at him like, okay, never mind, right? So he started following me because I was walking around a little bit. He was behind me, following me like this little gremlin or something, you know, like very suspicious of me because I had the audacity to question these bad experiences, right? And he literally followed me out of the building. And once he saw me leaving, it was like, glad you're gone, lady. I mean, it was so funny. Like, you don't question death and pain and suffering. I mean, he said, we need those things. He literally said that to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever makes you happy, you know? But that just showed me how intent some people can be about all of this bad stuff. So that kind of a belief also puts a gigantic hole in your consciousness where a bunch of energy is going to leak out. You see what I mean? When you harbor these kinds of excuses and beliefs that we want to hold on to this stuff, we need this duality, you're going to leak a ton of energy and power because you don't have a leg to stand on anymore. And then when the world gets like it is today, where it is absolute chaos and getting worse by the day, you're going to be in some bad shape if you keep maintaining those beliefs, because the message you're giving to the universe is, I want suffering, I want death, I want pain, because that's what you're saying. You see? It's kind of like double speak. I want it, but I don't. I want it, but I don't. But you're not taking a powerful stand. You're not. And you can only take that stand from your infinite self. You can't take that kind of a stand from your physical body. So when you take a powerful stand because it's real for you, it's true, not because I said it, not because of any reason other than it's true for you. And maybe you actually listened to your heart and your heart told you it was true. That, you know what? Death, pain, suffering, despair, poverty, anguishing, misery, depression, violence, all of that stuff, that shouldn't exist. Guess how you know it shouldn't exist? You want to know how you know? It's real obvious. It causes pain. It causes pain. No one likes it. Everyone wants it to go away the moment they have an experience of such things. And interestingly enough, when we feel joy, happiness, health, energy, all those wonderful things, love, we want it to stay. We don't have good experiences and say, oh God, I hope this ends soon. No, we want it to last forever. See, we know the truth. It's in our face. It's in our heart. It's in us. The truth is in us. Until we take a stand in this universe for that truth that is already in us, and as long as we keep making excuses and telling ourselves stories and making it acceptable on some weird level, like it's necessary, we're sending a very clear message to the universe. We are not ready yet to be done with any of this stuff. We are not ready to take a stand from within ourselves. We're not ready to evolve beyond it. We just kind of had to hang out here a little bit longer. Or maybe a lot longer, or maybe forever, so we might think, erroneously so. So I want to complete this message with a suggestion or a question. Do you have the courage to listen to your heart, even though everything your heart is telling you is in clear defiance of whatever this matrix has told you is real and true? The matrix is not the violence. The matrix is not that stuff. The matrix is the belief in a false reality, a manufactured artificial reality. That's what the matrix is. It's a belief in that forms a paradigm that lives in your mind, that you operate out of. The only way to leave the matrix is, as I said, to reorient yourself and understand and experience yourself as the truth of who you really are, which is an infinite being that lives in this universe on planet Earth at this current moment in time. So what I've been describing to you is a very dynamic process of transformation. The shift from a belief in a sense of self that is not true, that is not real, that is a product of the matrix that has been implanted in our minds through conditioning, brainwashing, and what have you, and the reflection of all the others who have bought into it as well. A transition from that back into the truth of who you are. That is a very dynamic, real, energetic process. So I invite you to explore some of the things that I've shared with you here today. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you guys again. I love talking to you all. And again, I want to welcome my new subscribers. And I will see you guys next time. Now, before I go, I want to remind you guys to go check out this Healy quantum frequency device. I'm not going to say a lot about it right now. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can go there and learn more about it. But this is the most powerful evolutionary ally in terms of a technology that I have ever seen on planet Earth. And I could go on about this for a while, but I'm not going to because I think I've been talking probably long enough. But go click the link that I'm going to leave below and check it out for yourself, because if this is for you, you will thank yourself so much if you get one. because it will, amazing how this supports your evolution on every single level, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, ancestral, like all levels, because it is a revolutionary new quantum technology. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and inspiration and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.